Hey everyone, it's the Patient Toddler coming at you with a very quick market update. And in this market update, we're going to take a look at why Bitcoin is correcting at the moment, why the crypto market is going down, why all numbers are red, and why altcoins are bleeding heavier than Bitcoin. So make sure to stay tuned. If you enjoy this regular update on the crypto market, then please make sure to smash up the like button right now. The more likes I get on this video, the more often I want to put out some of these videos. So thank you for the like and let's jump right in. So at the moment we see that on the weekly chart here that Bitcoin is a little bit red. The dip overall almost 10%, nothing too crazy. And the culprit of that is that some of the rate cuts have been priced out. Yeah, that is the more broader economic frame that we can see. But there are also some institutions and some players in the market that are selling Bitcoin, and we're going to look at that. But why are there not as many rate cuts yet on the horizon as we have been expecting maybe a couple of months ago? The culprit here is Taylor Swift. Just joking, but I saw this here. Taylor Swift London Eras Tour could delay Bank of England rate cut, analysts say. I mean, we know that Taylor Swift is very famous, but that she has an impact to delay the rate cut of the Bank of England is a little bit hilarious. Although people are saying there is something that's called a Swiftflation and Swiftonomics, which refers to an uptick in consumer spending, particularly on hotels and restaurants around the singing Sensations tour dates. Guys, the reality is a different one. Obviously, inflation is not under control in the economics, and the economy hasn't weakened sufficiently in the US. In the Eurozone, more rate cuts are already on. In Canada as well, but in the UK not. And the UK had seen a very severe inflation. So US and UK still not in the rate cuts, and that is putting some pressure on the market. And that is likely one of the reasons why we're seeing outflows in the ETFs, and likely also a reason why we're seeing a little bit of outflows here from the miners. So one of the big factors of outflows is the Bitcoin miners. Once again, it's not Taylor Swift, it's the Bitcoin miners. So here we see that the true network hash rate, which we see in oscillating in pink, and then also the average of this true network hash rate for Bitcoin miners has reversed the trend, and it's actually coming down basically since the halving. So we see the upward trend has been broken, and miners seem to be capitulating more or less since the halving. And the reason for that is that the cost of producing one Bitcoin has doubled, and that not all miners have the economic means in this current price range to stay alive. So some of them are shutting down their mining rigs, some of them might go out of business, and some of them are going to be replaced by other institutions, which we will see in a second. Looking at Bitcoin outflows, we can also see that Bitcoin ETFs saw huge outflows, which might be more oriented to economic reasons. So institutions and large-scale investors might have sold off a chunk of the ETFs. And we can see here that these are in the hundreds of millions, so nothing to absorb that easily. So we see, for example, FBTC has 146 outflow, ARK had 150 million, Grayscale another 274 million, and then some smaller ones. The only one with constant inflows is BlackRock's IBIT, which still sees 42 million inflow, but not enough to absorb the 580 million total outflow out of the Bitcoin ETFs. So regarding the Bitcoin miners, there's, for example, this one here from German Telekom that actually sees a node run on German Telekom, and they are going to mine basically Bitcoin. It seems that it is though in the US because it's T-Mobile, but seems to be that the company is setting up a node running Bitcoin. So actually This is how institutions can also get into Bitcoin, not only by using a Bitcoin ETF in the US, but also by setting up a node and mining some Bitcoin. So this is for sure an interesting development. Let's look at whether the market is in danger or not, because some people, as always, when fear is ramping up, are speculating about an early top being in, that Bitcoin will not perform as well, yada yada. And so what can be used as a means to compare this is Binance user deposit, or OKX, or whatever exchange user deposit, and taking the realized price. And then you see an average of this realized price floating up here, some kind of, as a bull market support band. And we actually see that since the bottom, basically the price is either oscillating around this, or in now, since we see more bullish price action, actually being above it. And in bull markets, usually the price is above this realized user price and of those traders, and at the moment we are severely above it. So we can correct another 27% to the downside to about 50,000, and the bull market would still be on. So there is no danger. It's just more like a redistribution in the price. So what happens after this pump here that we're seeing in Bitcoin is kind of a redistribution from the people that made a profit here to people that are seeking to enter at such price points. So are we on track for this cycle or not? So if we're looking at the price performance since the halving of each and every cycle, we are basically in the 5th cycle since the inception of Bitcoin. So what we can see here is that in the first epoch we pumped fairly hard very early, and then in the second one a little bit later, and in the third one still later, and only in the last cycle we had our pump a little bit earlier. So if we average that out, we have a movement that goes somewhere like where I have my cursor. So this cycle is very young measured from the Bitcoin halving. So what we are seeing here is that the Bitcoin price is exactly where it started out for all of these cycles. And if you're looking at the average move, none of these moves really started much before the time now, and most of these moves started from September on in the years after the halving. So we see here, even in the first epoch, still nothing happened, right? And even in our last cycle, we would go until the end of the year until we really go into that parabolic phase. So are we on track? We are absolutely on track. And even if we dip a little bit, even if we pump a little bit, even if we move sideways for a couple of months, we're still on track. Looking at this from another angle, and we're looking at the power of law, basically the bull market and bear market bands in a logarithmic scale, then we can see that we are also absolutely on track with the middle line of these support and resistance bands, basically, that are moving up in a logarithmic way. And the mark that is placed here on this log scale is 1 million. So it marks here where we would see a Bitcoin top at 1 million. That would be only 2028. And a Bitcoin medium price at 1 million would be 2033. And the last one that we're seeing here would be 2040, where Bitcoin would have the absolute lowest point on these support bands at 1 million. So what does that tell us? Sometimes it's good to zoom out when people are fearful in the market, or when you're feeling some anxiety or fear. To just zoom out on a broader scale and not look at 4-hourlies, not even at dailies, maybe only look at weeklies or monthlies, and then you will put it into perspective, and you can see how a potential bull market would bring us already up to beyond 100,000 this time, and maybe to 500,000 in the next cycle, and so on. As a last point, I want to look with you at the Bitcoin dominance, because in my opinion, the Bitcoin dominance shows us whether we are in a Bitcoin bull run or not, and it's definitely Bitcoin season. Bitcoin dominance is at 55.25% and still looking bullish. We have not lost any bigger support since we established new highs on the Bitcoin dominance. The trend is definitely massively up, and until this changes, I'm going to look for Bitcoin doing exceptionally well against all other things in the market. And once this changes and we're having a collapse to the downside, we definitely will have a video about this and we will see an altcoin season start. So now let me know in the comments below what you think about the current crypto cycle. Smash up the like button for more crypto market updates, and wherever you are on the world, have yourselves a great morning, evening, day, night, or afternoon, and I see you in the next crypto update.